Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left, cancel culture, invented by the left, and we have been telling them this type of authoritarian mob rule, the pendulum is going to swing back in your direction. An easy prediction to make. These puritanical fools, masquerading as the morality police, cannot live up to the same standards that they impose on everybody else. And we've seen it backfire and backfire hard. And the pendulum is swinging. It's swinging hard in their direction. Especially with Andy Ngo on the case, exposing the violence and criminal records and sometimes criminal history of these bozos on the streets. So it's time to take a look at this beautiful, beautiful concept. Cancel culture backfiring hard on Antifa and on the left in general. So I got a bunch of things to show you guys today. We got to expose the abundant hypocrisy of authoritarian leftism, which is out of control, and bask in the karma that's kicking back their direction. But before we get into any of it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified every single time I post a new video, since that's by far the best thing you can do to support the channel. And check out my Teespring shop at teespring.com/stores/liberalhivemind, where you guys can pick up the 3 Scoops POTUS t-shirt, available in multiple different colors. So if you guys want to celebrate 3 scoops, 3 SCOTUS picks, and now 3 Nobel Prize nominations, then go pick one up for yourself, and it's a great way to support the channel as well. Now with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. Alright, so here is the first story. It all starts off with this tweet from Andy Ngo, a Portland ex-paralegal who blames me for losing his job after his violent Antifa arrest details were publicized, has now been federally indicted. Philip J. Wenzel faces a felony charge. Read my new report, co-written with Mia Cathell. And the article says, Portland ex-paralegal indicted by federal grand jury for violent rioting. And yes, you heard that right, an ex-paralegal. But look, there's nothing legal about this guy. And once again, proving himself to be exactly what you'd expect from these Antifa dweebs, causing mayhem and destruction on the street. A young, suburbanite, privileged kid with a naive worldview. And of course, probably the most important part is the lack of self-awareness and entitlement, the total inability to take responsibility for one's actions. Check this out. Earlier this month, Wenzel expressed his disdain for the post-millennial editor-at-large Andy Ngo's work in a feature article published by progressive Portland newspaper Willamette Week. The piece cited Wenzel and others who conflated Ngo's coverage of violent rioters with doxing. Do the crime and do the time. When you commit a crime, you are put in a public database. That's why we have databases for instance, abusers. This should be public knowledge. If you are a criminal, you have automatically lost your right to privacy. You have a record. Andy Ngo didn't dox you. You doxed yourself. And the American people have a right to know exactly who you are. But of course, he takes absolutely no responsibility, loses his job, and blames Andy Ngo instead of his own awful decision-making skills. Hey, how about next time, don't commit crimes on the streets, and especially don't look for sympathy points after you get exactly what you deserve. But he's not the only Antifa dweeb to get caught up this week. We've also got Antifa doxer Antifash Gordon, or Gorgon, his Twitter account says Gorgon, but then they're calling him Gordon here, slapped with federal lawsuit for getting New York Daily News employee fired. And this is a serious cancel culture backlash. One thing we've seen from the left at a completely disproportionate rate is their constant attack on people's personal lives, invasion of personal space, showing up at people's homes, and of course the biggest one is doxing. Over the last month or so, there's been a Facebook group specifically dedicated to doxing Trump supporters and their homes, their addresses, and that's why we've seen tons of scenarios of rioters and left-wing agitators show up at random Trump supporters' homes, spray paint their doors, spray paint the facade of their homes, as well as shine lights into the windows. It even happened to Cassandra Fairbanks from the Gateway Pundit, and she was on Tim Pool's podcast the other day talking about exactly that. This is a tactic of fear intimidation that we've seen from the left for a very long time, and it's part of cancel culture. It's attempting to attack somebody and intimidate them because of political differences. Textbook authoritarian leftism. But this time, a serial doxer is in big trouble with a lawsuit after publishing sensitive data about political opponents online. And get this, the man's an assistant at a university. Christian Michael Exu, aka Antifash Gordon or Gorgon, is a 39-year-old assistant at St. Lawrence University SLU library, who stands accused of nefarious activity in a federal lawsuit filed in New Jersey by Daniel Dambley. And he wrote this on Twitter, technically, I don't just stalk fascists, I also get them fired, dehomed, kicked out of schools, etc. Well, buddy, you're about to get in some serious legal trouble. And I have a little bit of an inclination here that your assistant salary at SLU won't be able to pay for the legal fees to win this case. And speaking of SLU, the school itself is getting sued as well. Check this out. Federal lawsuit filed against St. Lawrence University for allegedly allowing Antifa member to extort using school equipment. So he was doing his job, well, what he viewed use as his job, committing his crimes, frankly, probably from using computer equipment within the school itself. And SLU is in big trouble. And this is a disturbing trend that we've been seeing for a while now. Of course, we all know the bike lock basher, that Antifa member who was going around smashing Trump supporters with a bike lock. Multiple incidents recorded on video camera. And without internet sleuths on a specific website, which shall not be named, of course you guys know what I'm talking about, starts with a 4 and ends with a CHAN, the man probably would have never been brought to justice. That guy, I believe, was either a teacher's assistant or a teacher at a university. I'm pretty sure he was a TA. There is a serious problem when it comes to leftist radicalization in universities. The indoctrination is one thing, the radicalization is a completely whole new level. And it's an interesting trend that we see quite often of not only professors justifying or defending Antifa members, but actual professors and TAs, and of course students within specific fields of study being active members of these destructive groups. Academia is becoming a radicalization chamber, and it goes from the top up. We've seen people get fired or students get suspended for the most ridiculously mundane things ever, like having a thin blue line flag, a Trump flag, and in one case, a flag that honors firefighters and first responders, and stories like this. College football coach replaces BLM sign taped to office door with All Lives Matter to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ sign. He's no longer with the team. And this is what he said. He said, "I truly believe that all lives matter. It's right there in the Bible. God doesn't discriminate." And of course, he gets fired for having an opinion that goes against the liberal academia doctrine, the dogma that is being spewed and being forced into your children's brains. Within any level of academia, but more specifically at college or university level, like in this case it was at a college, you cannot have a differing opinion from what is considered right think. This notion of right and wrong think from 1984 is manifesting itself in real life. How are we supposed to have discussions if you literally can't even disagree in a respectful manner? He truly believes that all lives matter. It's right there in the Bible. God doesn't discriminate. Is that really justification? Is that grounds to fire somebody? This is the left-wing authoritarianism that's truly getting completely out of hand. It's pushing people in a box. It's intimidating people, putting them in a perpetual state of fear to really express themselves within their work environments. We've got this story right here from the Washington Examiner. Ohio State professor confesses his, quote, racism for writing in support of college football. So apparently he had to write an apology for his, quote, racism because he felt as though the football season should start again. Just let that sink in. But what is the true racism? The true racism is putting people in boxes, forcing people to think a certain way based on their identity, their race, their social group, you name it. True racism is cancel culture completely run amok and removing any black icons from any type of packaging. Branding, black people apparently can't be on branding anymore. We saw with Aunt Jemima, we saw with Uncle Ben's Price, and we saw with Land O'Lakes. But of course, in the age of social justice tyranny and social justice lunacy, you don't think that they're just gonna end there. They never do. You give them an inch, they take 17 miles. Now we've got the latest victim of cancel culture. Cream of Wheat removing black chef from packaging. Wow, folks, I have really seen it all. Homages to minority figures as icons of branding. This is the exact type of thing that should be representation of all races. This time just within the world of branding is apparently unacceptable right now. This is not anti-racism. This is racism. And it's funny that liberals complain about this stuff, but when Disney removed a black actor from a Star Wars movie for the Chinese audience, we didn't hear a word from liberal Hollywood or liberals in general. Absolute hypocrites. And so cancel culture has completely run amok. It's out of control at this point, and the pendulum is also swinging in their direction. But it was really only a matter of time. All I know is I'm just sick and tired of this lunacy, and I want to go back to a pre-Clown World world. I think that's a stretch at this point. People are just too far gone, especially academic institutions. And like I always say, I mean, I'm not a pessimist or anything. I'd like to think of myself as an eternal optimist. I think things are going to get worse before they get better. Woke Twitter culture has ascended in a way. It's less of a culture and has become more of a cult at this point. It's a powerful dogma that gives people a sense of being. It makes them feel powerful, and it makes them feel like they're doing something with their lives, even though half of them are just sitting at home, twiddling with their thumbs, tweeting on Twitter. And for people with vapid personalities and abysmal sense of worth, it's a blue dragon that I think they're going to be chasing for a very long time. But that's what I got for you guys. And if you enjoyed it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified every single time I post a new video, since that's by far the best thing you could do to support the channel. And of course, check out the 3 Scoops President t-shirt to celebrate 3 scoops, 3 SCOTUS picks, and now 3 Nobel Peace Prize nominations. And of course, hopefully 2 terms. So pick up a t-shirt today. Now it's time for me to get back to cooking up some more content for you guys. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.